I'll explain it in a minute, Ignacio.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, it's 12:15 straight up. Let's rock. Ignacio asked a question. I posted out in the chat. I posted a URL. It's a YouTube URL. I reviewed it this morning. It's about 19 minutes long, and it's a really good explanation about why we're having the problems we're having with shipping and the ships coming into the west coast of the United States. Goes into pretty good depth and a lot of great video, gives you a much better perspective than reading an article in a newspaper. So if you have a chance, copy that URL, whiz out there when you got a moment and take a look. Okay, today we're going to talk about can't get there from here. Now I have to start by telling you that comes from an old joke. 100 years ago, there was a comedy team and they did a series of shows about Bert and I. They were Harvard students, but they pretended that they were from down east in Maine. And one of the stories that they told was about a man who got lost out around Medibimps. And so he met a farmer and he said, "Excuse me, sir, but how do I get to Portland from here?" And the farmer looked at him and goes, "Well, you're in Medibimps, and Medibimps ain't Portland. So in order to go there, you need to go down this road and you're gonna, no, can't go that way. Okay, you're gonna go up this road and then you're gonna go about 2 miles and go to the left. And, no, it can't go that way. All right, turn around and start down that road. No, you can't go that way either. Come to think of it, you can't get there from here. So that's the joke. Why did I want to go there? By the time we get finished today, you'll understand what that's all about. But let's start, as we sometimes do, by talking about the pandemic and where the pandemic is today. Global infections are reported. U.S. infections are reported at, it's 254.1 billion, not 254.1 million. That's my fault. Deaths from COVID worldwide, 5.1 million. In the US, we've had 47.2 million infections with 750,000 deaths in round numbers. Mexico has reported 3.8 million infections and 291,000 deaths. It was interesting to me, the infection rate reported in Mexico this month was the same as last month, but the death rate went up. So nobody's getting it new, but they're still dying from it. There have been over 7.5 billion vaccinations administered worldwide. That should be a B, not an M, as of November 14th. So the vaccinations are rolling out, but there are 7.5 billion vaccinations is a pretty big number, but there are almost 8 billion people in the world. And if everybody needs two, it's going to take some time to get all of that done. In the US, what we're looking at today is new cases going up here in El Paso. The mayor and the county judge have both said they're they're not overly concerned right now, but they do want everyone to be safe. Uh, they're, of course, they're still fighting with the governor over whether or not they can have a mask mandate, and the gov just lost one as far as the schools were concerned, but that hasn't changed his edict about not allowing cities and towns to have mask mandates. So um, seems like the ships are unloading. There are currently 73 ships anchored outside LA and Long Beach. Uh, the the issue is getting the material moved away from the docks now, so that they have more space. A couple, three things have happened in that regard uh, since uh, President Biden went there and said they need to get this fixed. They need to work overtime, whatever, to get this fixed. Fines are being charged to the carriers who let the containers sit idle for more than 6 days if they're waiting for a train, and 8 days if they're waiting for a truck. Uh, the trucking issue is still an issue, and will continue to be an issue for some time. And that's the primary way that containers move out of Long Beach and LA. Now, we refer to them with two different names, but if you look at them, they're side by side. They're operated by two different entities. Long Beach operates one, LA, Los Angeles runs the other, but they are geographically, physically co-located. Uh, and so it's trying to get the materials out of there and getting it out of there more quickly. Uh, so the impact on us is if your carrier ends up having to pay a fine for your container, you may end up seeing that on your bill. It may not say had to pay a fine because it was slow moving, but you'll see the money somewhere on your bill. There was also an issue because Long Beach had put a rule in place that they could only stack containers too high. They couldn't stack any higher than that. And that was using up a lot of ground. They've rescinded that rule, and now they're stacking to the height that the crane will operate well with it. So that allowed them to get some more ships in, get some more ships unloaded, and things are moving. The port congestion at Long Beach and LA is improving. Traffic is up around the world. If you want to have fun, go to the marine traffic. You see the URL up there at the top, marine traffic, global ship tracking. Go to their website, the .com version of that, and you can watch these ships, and they blink different colors if they're stopped, if they're going. All of that makes it pretty interesting. You get an idea of how much commerce is going on worldwide and where, because you can see the density. Uh, in this little graphic here on the slide, you see a lot of density along our coast. But if you go and look at Europe and the English Channel, it's like it's solid. If you go and you look at Asia, between China, Korea, and Japan, it's like there can't be any water there. There are so many ships. Um, the delays are still impacting, but the length of delays is coming down. So the freight is moving. It's not. It hasn't cleaned up. It's going to take some time to clear it up. But uh, there, it seems like things have improved. Uh, there are new numbers out, but they vary. If you go to different sources, you get different numbers, and so beware. There are a number of different things out there that are false, and if you don't take it at face value, you check something on the internet, you check it in multiple sources, and you dig deep to see if it's valid or not. Um, you find that some of the numbers out there are false. We had a question about demand planning and planning in this VUCA world. Uh, And so that brings us to this issue of you have demand that you can't currently fill. Uh, we had an Apex board meeting last night. We were talking about that. Uh, what happens? You you don't have the parts and you can't ship product because you can't ship incomplete product or defective product. So you can't fill the order. So what do you do? Well, the first thing is do no harm. Uh, the greatest harm you can do is lie. Tell them, oh yeah, we're working on it and it's going to ship tomorrow. You don't have product. It's not going to ship tomorrow. Uh, that harms your relationship. You have to be honest. And if you're honest and frank, yeah, they may get angry, they may get upset, they may call your boss. It's okay. Your boss isn't going to have a better answer if you've done your homework. Your boss won't have a better answer. So do no harm. Maintain your relationship. Uh, be an honest broker, and that's the very forefront of this. There are five sets of stakeholders when we're in business. Um, and when and if we have our own business or if we're employees in a business, it's the same thing. There are five sets of stakeholders. We have the customers, we have the suppliers, we have the employees, the investors, and the community at large. And of those, uh, we need to be working with at least three of those if we're having a problem and we can't deliver product. We need to be working with our suppliers, we need to be working with our customers, and we need to be working with the other employees. So let's step through that a little bit and see uh, exactly what I'm thinking here. Do we need to get the investors involved? Maybe not at this point. They're not going to be there to help us ship product, but we may want to have a conversation at some point with investors to say these are the issues that we have. These are the things that we need to fix. This is how much money it's going to take to do that. And I'm sure that someone in your company is, but you could pass it up the line and give them your input. The community at large is interested. Uh, we, we laugh about it, but it's kind of it is kind of funny. We've been I've been involved with uh, production planning, supply chain, all of that for almost 45 years now, and well, most of the time when I walk in and somebody says, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I work in supply chain," and they'd look at me and go, "Oh," and then they turn around and walk away. Well, now everybody goes, "Supply chain. What are you doing to fix it?" Um, so the community at large thinks uh, that's our job, and to a degree, they're absolutely right. So let's talk about our stakeholders here, the customers. If we've got an order that we can't ship, the first thing we need to do, after being honest, is we need to increase our communication frequency, and we need to have something to communicate. We need to be able to tell them what's going on, which means that we need to know what's going on, and we need to know when things are going to happen. So that means a deep dive into what's the root of the problem, where are the issues, what has to happen in order to make it better, and we need to know all that stuff. So we have to work with the customer and we have to have news. We don't want to place blame. Your stuff's on a container ship waiting to unload. Really? How special? All we've said is we don't know, and we're blaming it on a container ship. We haven't been helpful. Our suppliers are not shipping to us. Well, why are our suppliers not shipping to us? Now, everybody knows there's an IC problem right now, integrated circuits, computer chips. Uh, so that's the case, right? Our suppliers are not shipping to us. Well, is that really the case? We don't have enough. We have some, but we don't have enough. So we're getting some from our suppliers, but not enough. So then what do we have to know? Why aren't we making the product that goes to this customer? And what would we have to do to make the product for this customer? Now, if this customer's product requires something that we do not have and our suppliers are not shipping to us, why are our suppliers not shipping to us? And if their issue is, well, it's plastic and there's a shortage. Okay, what kind of plastic? Where's it short? Where have you looked? Uh, and my bottom line here, for those of for those of you who were with us not last month but the month before, I'm working on it. If you recall that whole presentation, don't just be working on it. You have to dig down. You have to find the issues. You're going, oh, Chet, I'm busy. I don't have time to do this. Yeah, you do. You better make time because this is important. If if you don't have the answer for your customer, you need to go get it. And that means research and talking to people, calling your supplier. And then if they have a problem, say, okay, let's get on the phone together because I'd like to talk to your supplier to find out when this is going to happen. I have to talk to my customer and my customer deserves to know. Don't just be working on it. Our suppliers, uh, you may have a shortage of material. So engage with that supplier. What exactly is the problem that's affecting this? Is it chemical? Is it quality? Is it transportation? What's the problem? Um, because each of those have different tentacles, different things that we can attack. We can, but we have to be engaged with the supplier. If all we're doing is saying, you know, oh yeah, our supplier is, they're in Houston, and we're just waiting for the truck. Okay, which truck? When's it going to get here? What's it got on it? Who's going to unload it? Where's it going to? And does that sound foolish? Well, it isn't really. You need to have that level of information because ultimately you're going to have to call a customer back and you're going to have something to tell them. So you have to put together a detailed plan and it's gotta have good information. You have to have a timeline based on the best information possible. Your supplier can help you with that. They can do the same thing you're doing. Put, let them know and work with them and say, hey, let's get together. We can do a conference call with your supplier, with the people at the other end. Find out what their issues are. Then if they solve their issue and that gets resolved and it goes to your supplier, how long is it going to be before your supplier can get the material uh, put together for you in and get it to you? Now, if the getting it to you is going to take more time, can you fly it? Can you do something else? Can you expedite? If you don't ask the questions, if you don't get into that engagement with the supplier, you're not going to have that answer. So these are the sort of things, and it sounds sort of basic, and Chet, we do that all the time. Yes. Do you do it all the time? Or do you just do it some of the time and maybe not full on? You were working on it. Don't work on it. Get it done. Avoid no guesses. You don't want to have guesses. Um, well, I guess this is what's going to happen. Or I think so. Uh, I think this is what's going to happen. No, what's going to happen? What's the best data that you have? That's what you need to supply. Work through the scenarios with them. Can they make partial shipments? Do they have enough material to ship you some? Can you break it down? Can you give them spot orders? How can you get some material? Are there alternative materials that they can ship you that would work the same in your product? This becomes a conversation for your engineers and your quality people and their engineers and their quality people. Now, if you're making FDA material that's been certified with the FDA, you're not going to be able to do that. Well, I shouldn't say that. You may be able to do that. Look at the certification. When it was certified, did you also get certified for alternative materials or for alternative sources? When you do the first run through with the FDA, normally you do it with your primary, but then later as you're going along, a lot of companies will go back and say, we want to do this, but we want to do it with alternative materials, or we want to do it with different suppliers so that we have some flexibility in what we're doing. If you're working for a company like that, then you need to check that. But if you're working in commercial products, that kind of thing, what are the alternatives? And talk to your engineers about that, because they may have some ideas as well about what materials we can use, what materials we can't use. We tried it with this, it didn't work. We haven't tried that, but we'd have to run lab tests. What else? Are there alternative sources? There are other companies out there that make the product that your supplier makes, and do they have it? Then once you've gotten through all of those scenarios, what's the best case on getting parts from them? And what are the things that make that the best case? And then what's the worst case? Worst case is they're not going to get the material, it's not going to ship, the truck's going to burn up on the highway. And then what's the most probable case? So that you have 3 different timelines, basically, that you've worked out, and you've been through a series of scenarios with your supplier. And you want to set at the same time a schedule for updating. Can we update this tomorrow at noon? Can we update this at the end of the workday? What's the best schedule for updating? And then set up the meetings and have the meetings so that you're getting at least a daily update. Once they get the material, can you increase the frequency so that so that you know excuse me, so that you know and you can update your customer. It's getting closer and we're getting more defined in what our response is. So we can handle all of that. Inside your company, you've got all of your design engineers. Now, they may not be down here, they may be corporate somewhere, but find out who your design engineers are and talk to them. Meet with the marketing people and see if there are alternatives for your customer. The marketing people know the customer, they know what the customer is doing and how they're using the product. They're a good source of information. They also know about competitive products on the market and that kind of thing. So meet with them. Now, we should have already checked, but I put it down here. Can we make partials with what we have? Do we have small amounts of material that we could take and build into partials that we could ship? And how can we expedite the materials when we receive them to ship them as quickly as possible? So we need to talk to the operations people, the shop floor people, and say, okay, this material is going to be coming in. It's going to come in on Saturday. Can we get it moved to the plant on Saturday? Is there going to be anyone here that can take this material and get it started in the process? And we follow through. We want to drive this and check this. Make sure that everybody's on board, and we want to write down their answers. We want to keep that log of information, because when you come back and something hasn't happened, You say, well, we had this conversation yesterday and you said, and you told me, and then they say, well, yeah, but, you know, and then you start getting the yeah, buts, yeah, but, and that's, that's sort of like a guess, sort of like, I think, yeah, but, well, why didn't you tell me that yesterday? Anyway, uh, don't go there. You may think it, but don't go there. Just keep it factual, what's happening, and update. Update your plan in ERP. Uh, don't hide it. You got a problem, update your plan. Set the date out there where you're most likely to have this product to ship, and go with the most likely date, but continue to update. Then if something goes wrong, it gets closer to the worst case. If something goes right, it moves up toward the best case. Keep your system updated. Why? Everybody else in the place is going to be using the information in the system. And if they don't see it, uh, they're going to make plans. You have an order and you don't put the order where it needs to be, and the material comes in, and some enterprising soul down on the shop floor looks at the open orders that need this material. They take it and they put it into the first order in the bin, and it's not the one that you wanted. And then all of a sudden the material's gone. It's been committed somewhere else. Update the plan. Keep your ERP system updated so that people can use it and get their information from it, and have a feeling that it's correct. Uh, if you know it's wrong and you don't correct it, others who don't know it's wrong will use it for their planning. So uh, make sure that as you get information, you update. If you have changes in quantities from the customer or from the suppliers, update it. Make sure that your system is showing the latest and greatest information, and let people know I've updated the system. It's now correct, and it's this is what it's showing. Communicate, communicate, and communicate, and communicate, and ensure that you're working with your customer and your suppliers to make this work. Not just I'm working on it. You really need to get some things done. Now, do you have time to do this for every customer? Maybe, maybe not. Who else can you get involved? If you've got more than one customer, then you need to be talking to your boss, to the marketing and salespeople, all of that, because when the material comes in, how's it going to get split up? Who's going to get what percentage? So you need to know that, and you need to be able to communicate that. Or if marketing and sales wants to communicate because it's sensitive and it's going to the customer, have them do it, but make sure they do it and ask to be on the call so you can take notes. Will they let you do it? There may be some resistance, but you should be on that call. That should be with you present. If you're the focal point and you're the one the customer is banking on making this happen, you need to be on that call. Okay. This I told you about the joke and where it would tie in, and this is a true story. This happened this past week. We went online and we ordered a chair online from Office Depot, the store on Sunland Park. Uh, when we looked, it showed that it was in stock. So we posted the order, paid with credit card online, and about 6 hours later, we got a call from the store, and the guy said, "We don't have the chair in stock." Uh, okay, well, is there one in the warehouse? Uh, yep. Can you have them deliver it to you? Can they drop it off at your store and then we could come down and pick it up maybe, in a day or so or something? Nope. What? Wait a minute. No, you won't. No, I can't. we have to cancel your order on us, and then you have to go back into the system and enter a new order on the system. Seriously. Yes. Can you check with your manager? Break in time. He agrees with me. We will cancel your order. And they did. They filled the part of the order that they had in stock so that we could come and pick it up, but they canceled the rest of the order. And if we wanted the chair, we had to go back in and we had to find a different place because they don't have a system, apparently, that allows them to move material from one position to another position to another position. This would be akin to someone, you have 4 distribution warehouses around the country, and someone calls and says, do you have this product? No, but we have it in another distribution center. Can we take your order and then we'll ship it from a different distribution system? Would that work for you? Oh yeah. Or, if you go to Amazon and you go in, they say we have this. They don't tell you where they have it. They just say, yeah, we have it. And they ship it from wherever they can do that most economically, most feasibly. So we've got a major distribution company in our midst that doesn't have that flexibility in their orders. Are you like them? Yep. You can't get there from here. So I thought that I would bring a bit of levity to the conversation today. Yep, you can't get there from here. Or as they say in the record, yeah, can't get there from here. Now, the reason I sound that way is because I grew up there. And and my mother was an immigrant, and she often felt that people looked down on her because she had a slight accent. And so when we were young, she made us sit in front of the radio and listen to the radio. So we would talk like the people on the radio, not like the rest of the people in our neighborhood. Um, anyway, that's my upbringing. Resonated with me. So what would you like to discuss? The idea for today's presentation came from the October meeting and a chat suggestion. So what's your suggestion? What would you like to hear? What's causing you problems right now? Uh, Hopefully it's not, you can't ship the order, and hopefully, nope, we can't do that for you. Uh, what are your issues or your concerns? Give us your ideas. And our advertisement at the end, we've got classes coming up, certification review for demand-driven planner in January, CPIM. We've got a CPIM class going now. We want to start a CPIM Part 2 class next year. We've got the inventory and purchasing management in February, and planning and demand and S&OP March, and manufacturing and MRP in May. We're thinking about getting back to face-to-face classes, maybe after the first of the year. We'll take a look at that. So put that in your planner. All right. Have a good Thanksgiving, and we'll see you here next month.
Thank you, Chet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chet. See you
Thank
next
you.
month.
Thank you, Chet.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chet.
Have a good week.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you, Chet.
Thank you. Thank you, Deanna.